Welcome to week 5. We're just about halfway through now, and week 5 is all about fermented foods. So we're going to do some kimchi, and we're going to do some kombucha and kefir. They all just happen to start with a K, and I'm also going to show you some sauerkraut as well. So these cultured foods are really a great addition to your diet. Kimchi is one of my favourites. It's actually a lot easier than sauerkraut. I'm going to show you how to do sauerkraut, but a lot of people find that they get mould with that, and I'll definitely give you some tips how you can avoid the mould. But kimchi is like a spicier version of sauerkraut with more stuff in it, and it's quicker. It only takes a couple of days and it starts to culture, and it can culture right throughout. It stays for about a month in the refrigerator and cultures right throughout that process. That's the official line. I've actually had kimchi just at room temperature, culturing all the time for like over a month, and I just make a big batch of it and dip into it whenever I want some, and it's lasted perfectly well. So excited to be showing you that. I'm going to show you how to flavour your kombucha and your kefir, and just have these foods on hand, and they're actually very easy, and they don't need to scare you. I know these kind of foods scare some people because you're dealing with growing yeasts and bacteria, but if you do it in the right way, you'll be very successful at it. So let's get on and do the first recipe, which is the kimchi. So the first stage with the kimchi is we're going to use this Napa cabbage, and if you can't get Napa cabbage, you can just use any cabbage. I tend to find that red cabbage doesn't taste as good as kind of a green or white cabbage, but if you can get the Napa, then that's fantastic. So what we're going to do first of all is just cut the base off of each of these cabbages, and if the outer leaves are really no good at all, then you can just get rid of them. Actually, we got lucky with these leaves. They seem to be all pretty good. So just kind of unravel and unpackage them, and you'll get down to a point where they start to become connected again, because we need to cut down a little bit further. So do another one of those. And the same on the inside. If they're not looking too great, then we've got a little bit of a flower in the middle there, so let's put that to one side. These leaves seem to be pretty good as well. There's some speckling on the leaf there, so I'm just going to leave that one out, but all these others are good. And then what we're going to need is a good sized bowl. I actually am going to use one of these catering style containers. They're Cambros, and you can pick these up at any kind of retail, any restaurant supplies, or online. And it just makes the whole process a lot easier if you've got a bowl or a container big enough to easily hold these leaves. And we're going to salt them and keep them underwater for the first stage, just overnight. And what that's going to do is it starts to break the leaves down and soften them up, and starts the culturing process for us. Okay, so once you've got your leaves, take your container and just line the bottom of the container with leaves, and then you want a good liberal shaking of salt. We're actually going to get rid of this salt water afterwards, so you don't have to worry about everything being too salty. And just do that each layer that you build up. Add a little bit more salt. It doesn't matter which way round you put them in, just as long as you get a decent covering of salt on each layer. And you'll be surprised actually how much this makes. I mean, 2 Napa cabbage, although it looks like a lot of cabbage, it doesn't make a huge amount because this just reduces down so much. So there's no, I've given you measurements on the amount of salt to use here, but because I know there are a lot of people that really want to be very precise and you want some kind of ballpark figure, but to be honest, just sprinkle it on like I'm sprinkling it on. You don't have to measure salt and water here. It's just enough water to cover the leaves, which is what I'm about to do now. So I'm going to cover this with water, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like and how you need to leave it for the evening, and we'll weight it down to make sure that all these leaves are under the salt water. So come back and join me in a second, I'll show you what that looks like. So I've taken my Napa cabbage leaves and covered those with water. As you can see, you get kind of leaves sticking out the top here. So what we're going to do is pop the plates on the top and just push down so that it's all under water. So we'll set that to one side. You can cover it if you want to, but everything's under the water, so it should be good. Set that to one side, leave it overnight, and then we'll come back in the morning and we'll do the next stage, which you're about to see. So we've had this in this salty brine water for just overnight, and we're ready to just drain this off and then add all our other ingredients and get it into our jar here. So what you can do at this point is either tear your leaves or shred them. I like to shred them, so I just roll them up like that and give them a nice tight shred. Making sure that when we get down to the stalk end, you're still doing it nice and thin. But yeah, some people just like to just kind of tear up the leaves like that, which is also good. Okay, so I'm going to continue to, I'm just going to do the rest of these, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what to do with the rest of these ingredients. So I've shredded all the cabbage down now. As you can see, there's lots of cabbage there, but I do like to make a big batch of this. Remember, it's only 2 Napa cabbages. So we emptied out all the water and all the salt, pretty much all the salt with it. So I'm just going to re-salt a little bit here. Okay, and then I'm going to add in some red chili flakes, some ginger that's been minced, and some garlic that's been minced as well. Then we've got some green onions, some carrot battens, and I'm actually using coconut nectar. You can use honey. A little bit of sweetness really works so nicely with this. You could also, other things you could put in there would be cauliflower, broccoli, also cucumber works nicely. Let's give that a little bit of a mix around. Get that coconut nectar spread out because it's quite sticky. And then you get the smell of that garlic and the ginger. And so this is going to really start to give off more of its water now we've added that salt, and we're actually starting to massage it in. And I would probably maybe put even a little bit more red pepper flakes just to make it a bit spicier. I like it really nice and spicy. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So then you take your jar, and obviously not all of this is going to fit in one jar, so I'll just use a series of smaller jars. But this is where it's easier than sauerkraut. You'll see when we get to make sauerkraut. This is just Just a really easy way of getting these cultured, fermented vegetables into your diet in a tasty way. And this just, you can eat this before a meal to help with digestion. Make a salad out of it, a kimchi salad. So maybe get some spinach or some romaine lettuce leaves, and just make a basic salad with some tomatoes and all your other favourite salad items, and then just have a load of this on top with a nice dressing. And I said it wouldn't all fit into one, and it's not far off. There's not a huge amount left in there. So, but the main thing is that you leave a decent amount of space at the top, because what will happen is these juices will start to kind of rise up, and the gases will kind of bubble up and everything, and it will expand, and you'll get all the juices at the bottom, and it all kind of starts to float on top of the juices, so it will just rise up and rise up. So you need to give it a bit of space at the top, and don't be surprised when you take this off there, it kind of goes psh, and you get all the gases coming out. So after about 2 to 3 days, that is ready to eat. And as I said, I would, for safety, I would leave that at room temperature for about 5 days, and then put it into the refrigerator, and it will continue to culture in the refrigerator. But you can experiment. I have left it out at room temperature for a month and just eating it as I've needed it. So there you go, kimchi.